this video, I wanted to do a review on the elemental science. This year for first grade, we did the biology for the grammar stage. And I just wanted to kind of recap how the year went for us. I also wanted to give a little update on how our spring science is going so far, and also bring out our favorite science unit for the year. So I will go ahead and get started on our review. First, I wanted to come back to the table of contents just to kind of give a little overview of all the units that we covered this year. The first unit, it was a living world unit, talking about living, non-living things, organisms, fungi, mold, and then plants and animals. Just kind of really short there. Then we got into the animals unit, and there was a lot of different animals that we covered, and there was a nice chart that they were able to kind of categorize all the animals into. And then after that was the human body unit. That lasted about 10 weeks. And then lastly, the plants unit, and that's what we're finishing up right now. Right now we are on week 4. So I'm just gonna give my opinion on every unit, what my thoughts were. If you wanna get a flip through of how this curriculum works, I'll link it down below so you can watch that, because I'm not really going to get into that in this video. I'm only going to get into the actual units, kind of like the hits and misses of each week. So starting with the living world unit, I'm going to get the student workbook now and just kind of go through our favorite activities and maybe some that were not so great. But overall, I will say I absolutely love this curriculum, the elemental science. This is the second year that we've used it, and it's our favorite. So let's get into that first. So this is like a little collage that he either drew or we printed out and put in its designated area the living things and the non-living things. There was this chart where we got some objects, and these were the questions we asked that would help us to decide if the object was a living thing or a non-living thing. He even color coordinated it. This was a really cool project here, talking about spreading organisms and bacteria. He really enjoyed learning about bacteria, and we also watched some YouTube videos on it, and he just wanted to learn more about it. So he really loved it. This one was where each of us got a certain color glitter on our hands, and then we shook each other's hand, and we saw how the different colors mix together, and so that's kind of how germs get transferred as well. So we were able to kind of visually see that. So then we got a piece of tape and we put it over his hand, and all the different colors you can see on the piece of tape. So that's what he also wrote out here. The animals unit, there were some charts that we did. Skimming through the animals unit, I can see that some of the projects were like this one, for example. It talked about what we had to do is we had to make a bird feeder, and we actually did. We did the bird feeder, we put it all together, and we got bird seed and everything. And I think it was just the time of year that we did it. There was no birds that came around. It was just kind of one of those things that just didn't work for us. So we didn't get to observe any birds, and we just kind of was like a fail. This was another one that we could have done it online, but we just didn't. Looking at an owl palette dissection. I didn't realize that there was actually an owl palette that we could have dissected that was in the science kit until many weeks later. And I always told myself we'd come back to this and go ahead and dissect it, because I thought that would be a cool thing to do. But we never got around to it. Maybe we could still do it, but yeah, that's why this is blank as well. Same thing, at the time where we were living, we weren't really around too much nature. We didn't have any trees in our yard. And then when we walked around, it wasn't like we could go find a tree with nests in it. So this just didn't work out for the time being where we lived. So we didn't get to do this one. So there was just quite a few of the animal unit that we did not get to do. It just didn't work out for us. Camouflage. So flipping through the animal unit, another one, snail home. We were supposed to look for snails and we just couldn't find any, not where we lived anyway. So yeah, some of these animal ones required you to like find animals and it just wasn't always accessible to us. I always like ones like this where he can just cut and paste, but that's not always his favorite because then he is not the most arts and craftsy type of person. He didn't even color these in, which would have added to it. But I don't know, I always enjoy looking at those. It's nice and you can visually see, you know, the pattern. Yeah, so if I had to kind of go back and just like flip through this, I noticed that the animal unit is probably the one that has the most blank demonstration sheets. Just because sometimes it was hard to find the animals or insects that they required for the demonstration. Okay, now we're getting into the human body unit. The human body unit was such a hit. It was amazing because it's just so interesting. Like this was a chart. We actually there was like a couple that we didn't do, but every lesson we would add to this chart. Okay, this was my son's absolute favorite demonstration because he got to eat the fruit gummies at the end. But this was basically talking about the skeletal system and how skeletons help us to be upright, and that way we're not just like a blob. So we were supposed to use mini marshmallows, but we didn't have any, so I just improvised and used small fruit gummies. I'm gonna try to show the picture right there. You can see that he stacked them onto toothpicks, and then that's what was able to kind of hold them together so that they don't fall, versus if you just stack them on their own, they'll just topple over. So that's what he wrote out here, the method, and then the outcome, and then how we learn about our own bones, our own skeletal system. So this was his absolute favorite demonstration. That was a success. Here are some other things talking about the muscles. We were just testing our muscles. The reflexes was fun. Trying to hear the heartbeat was really fun. This was really fun because it was the lung capacity that he had. And I was actually surprised as well just how much the lungs can hold. Okay, so we just didn't do like 2 of the demonstrations at the end. Now we are on the plants unit. The pine cone seed was pretty interesting. The leaf color, after we left it in some alcohol, the green color went away. This is the stem, and he was able to visually see how the food coloring rose up from the stem using celery sticks. And this is where we're at right now. So we just have a few more demonstrations to go and we'll be finished. Looking ahead, this demonstration seems okay. We're gonna, just to kind of visually see how it works when pollen transfers from flower to flower, we're gonna have a few paper flowers, and then we're gonna have different colored powders. And then we're gonna dip a cotton ball into each powder and just kind of see how each different color transfers to the flowers. So I don't know, it's like an okay demonstration. I guess these are different seeds that we're going to be looking at. And then the last one is like a scientist report that we're going to write about the scientist. So there's no demonstration there. It's more of just like a report. And that's it for plants. So now that I kind of just flipped through all of those, I just wanted to talk about my favorite unit. And if you couldn't guess, my favorite was definitely the human body unit. I just feel like our body is so interesting. It was just easier to test out the different demonstrations. And I felt the demonstrations were actually more fun too. And when I say me, I do mean my son too. Like, he was very engaged with the human body unit. After that, I would probably say this was definitely, I would say more so with my son. He really loved learning about the organisms, especially like the virus and the bacteria. He thought it was really interesting just how tiny they were and just how they worked, like how the viruses would come into the body and try to take over the cells. And he just loved the idea of the microscope. We would look at YouTube videos and he liked watching things under the microscope. So this I would, and then he, in the textbooks as well, he really wanted to continue reading over and over about them. So this was like a big interest that he had. And I appreciate that he was exposed to this information here. So human body, the organisms. Next, I would say probably the plants, because, you know, it's really cool to try to see things grow. We tried to grow some plants from some seeds. That unfortunately was kind of a fail. I'm gonna go and give a little update on that in a second, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't have a green thumb, I guess, but it's still so interesting, and I am not gonna give up, and we're gonna continue to try to grow some plants. And then the animals unit, I don't know, it just kind of fell flat a little bit. There was just a lot of demonstrations we weren't able to do and animals we were not able to observe. So maybe it wasn't the fault of this curriculum. We just, for whatever reason, where we were living at the time, it just wasn't accessible to us. So maybe it would have been more interesting if we were able to like observe more birds and the insects and things like that. But yeah, it just didn't work out as good as the other units. But overall, I still think this curriculum is amazing. I love it. I love that he's able to take his notes, and there's just a lot of activities and demonstrations that I think we'll be able to remember. Okay, so now I just wanted to bring out a couple of plants that I got. I got some mint from Trader Joe's. So far I've had it for about a week and it hasn't been dying. I mean, it looks really healthy still. I've been trying to water it, and I want to definitely take good care of it, and then if it continues to grow, repot it and make more of it if possible. But I got this so that we can juice, and we started juicing because we had some stomach issues, and I just wanted to put some mint in the juice as well, just to give it that really fresh taste and just for the health benefits. This is another plant that I got from Trader Joe's. I need to get like another bigger pot and just kind of like pot it in there. But I just think this is so gorgeous. And I love the way this plant looks. I love how big these leaves are, how long they are, and just, I don't know, I just love this. I just have to maintain it and keep it alive. Okay, lastly, I wanted to bring out how these plants were doing. This one actually, as you can see, just completely fell apart because I think my son stepped on it or something. But either way, it just did not work out at all. I replanted the seeds a couple of times because I just noticed that nothing was sprouting, and then I would kind of like dig to see if I can even see the seeds, and I couldn't find any of the seeds, so I just like would replant them. And still, I would water them every single day. We were getting a lot of good sunlight. So I think I'm just gonna give up on these. I have a third one over here that I was trying to get away from the dirt because I tried to do some research and I was thinking maybe the ants were getting to it. This is the sunflower. I also replanted it. I wonder if I can see the seed. There it is, right? Yep, there it is. Oh my gosh, I see a little sprouting. This just gave me hope right now. I really think the ants got to the first one because the first one that I planted, I couldn't find it anywhere. So I replanted the seed, and look, there's a little sprout. Oh my gosh, I was gonna give up on it. I'm gonna go ahead and water it right now. Okay, since that gave me hope, I'm gonna go ahead and water this one too, the strawberry one, just in case. Well, there you have it. I am so glad that they're actually sprouting, well, at least the sunflower one. But yeah, that is all for this video. If you have any questions or comments, I appreciate suggestions. So for anyone that does that, thank you so much. I hope that was helpful. And yeah, I definitely recommend this science curriculum if you are interested in it. So I will end this video here and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.